Alright, here's what I've been doing while sheltering in place on my off days. Figured I'd pay a visit to a dear old virtual stomping ground. Holme Airport, better known as Groom Lake or Area 51. Well, it's a beautiful day, and I've staked out a nice spot in our iconic Bell UH-1H Huey at 1,500 feet to watch the MiG-21s take off. Now, in the spirit of experimental aviation, today's adventure is about developing emergency procedures. I'm going to place this simulated helicopter in a specific combination of dangerous circumstances and figure out a way to safely recover. This particular simulator, made by Bell Simtech for DCS, is noted by actual Huey pilots for its highly realistic flight model. So, standard disclaimer, though the concepts and physics here are very real, please don't try this at home. First, I'm going to induce a vortex ring stator, VRS. That's a bad thing and one of the quickest ways to send your helicopter straight towards the ground. While we're on our way straight towards the ground, I'm going to cut the fuel lines to the engine. And at this point, there's no way to avoid some sort of contact with the ground. Now here's the view from MiG on a stick cam. Yeah, that looks pretty bad. If you practice the emergency procedures and study how and why they work and learn from other experts who've asked the same questions, you can safely land a free-falling helicopter with a dead engine. Alright, so at ground contact we're going at 31 miles an hour with a descent rate of 3¼ feet per second. That's well within safe and not even all that uncomfortable. We can also try this on the Mi-8 HIP to see how it transfers to a different kind of helicopter. Now the landing technique is called autorotation, which is where the air coming up through the rotor blades induces rotation and produces some lift and also stores energy in the momentum of rotation. The idea is to use that to arrest your descent and cushion your landing. The Mi-8 is physically larger and there's more energy being stored in the rotor and drive mechanisms. Actually, if you watch the accessories, the autorotation turns the generators back on for a few moments. VRS is something to be especially mindful of when landing vertically. If you have little or no horizontal speed and descend too quickly into your own downwash, the rotor feeds its own disrupted air back into itself and can't produce any lift. Now, autorotation does require some meaningful horizontal speed, and sometimes you'll see a question like, well, is it possible to get into VRS during an autorotation landing? Well, the answer is no, they're mutually exclusive. And sometimes you'll see a side note in a manual or aeronautics book that autorotation is a way to get out of VRS. But you know, I've never actually seen it suggested as a viable way to recover from VRS, so the actual point of the experiment here is really to test the transition between the two. And it's not a good way to recover from VRS. It's better than doing nothing, but pretty much every other way is better. But if you ever happen to already be in VRS when your engine fails, it technically works, provided you have enough space to work with.